If you're looking for homeschool sanity, welcome. I'm Dr. Melanie Wilson, Christian psychologist turned homeschool mom and curriculum author. But I was once so disorganized, I thought I had to quit homeschooling and stop having kids. Now, by the grace of God, I have 6 homeschool graduates. Whether we're discussing parenting, productivity, or practical tips, I pray that this episode is just what you need for happy, healthy homeschooling. Hey homeschoolers, are you incorporating online learning into your homeschool this year? Should you? That wasn't even an option when I started homeschooling in 1999, but now it is. And I am so excited to share an interview I did with online learning platform founder Amir Nathoo. But before we dive in, I want to thank CTC Math for sponsoring the podcast.
Have you tried CTC Math yet with your child? Here's a testimonial from another happy homeschool mom. Amber said, "I'm absolutely thrilled with CTC Math. It's a rare find that I've used with my children for more than 6 years now. I have 6 children using CTC Math, and each child has found it easy to navigate and very applicable. I love seeing them enjoy this math program and grow in their mathematical journey. Thank you so much for all that you're doing and for providing quality math lessons for my children." So friends, if you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com. That's ctcmath.com.
Amir, thank you so much for joining me here on the Homeschool Sanity Show. I have been looking forward to talking with you ever since I met some of your colleagues at a conference in Alaska, of all places. But I have heard about Outschool for quite a number of years. I know people who are teaching on Outschool, but I thought that my listeners would be very interested in learning more, not just about Outschool, but about online learning in general, because, it has changed so much over the decades since I began homeschooling. But I thought that I would have you start by telling us a little bit more about you and your background.
Absolutely, and pleasure to be talking to you, Melanie, and to your audience. So I grew up in England. I moved over to the United States 15 years ago, thinking it'd be a 1 to 2 year adventure with my wife, and now we are 15 years later, American citizens, 2 kids, and our lives have been changed. And I have been a entrepreneur in tech for the majority of my career. So originally moved over to pursue that, and Outschool is my second company, and one very close to my heart, because when I founded Outschool in 2015, I didn't have kids yet, but I knew I wanted to create something that my own kids could use. And there were many other motivations to the founding, but that was a key part of it. Based in San Francisco in the Bay Area. But our company, our work is all over the country, and in fact all over the world. We've served learners from over 180 countries on the platform, and are very grateful for being able to support so many folks because of the tremendous growth in the need for online learning, and especially the need for alternatives in education. One of the core theses behind Outschool is this idea that there needs to be alternatives to traditional education, and if we don't offer that, there's going to be big problems.
Absolutely. So you had a background in tech. What gave you the idea to start Outschool then? Was there something that happened in your personal life, or something that you noticed as, it was an opportunity for you to create something like Outschool?
Yeah, absolutely. There are several different motivations. One was reflecting on my own educational journey, and as I was thinking about having kids, what I would want for them. And I had an amazing traditional education in the UK. I went to a great selective school. I studied engineering at the University of Cambridge. And yeah, for sure, all of that opened tremendous doors for me. But I was very fortunate. Both my parents were teachers, and they did an enormous amount to support me outside of regular school, and especially helping me take a broader view of what learning could be and pursue interests, as well as helping me with my in-school academics. And one of those interests was learning how to program computer games. And they helped me find resources to pursue those interests even before, this was well before programming was known to be like a career. So it wasn't because this was going to be economically valuable, it was because I was interested in it. And they had this real appreciation for learning and the love of learning beyond school. And I started to realize just how important those experiences outside of traditional education were for me and my career and my happiness in life. And I started to realize that, with all the fast changes in the world and the needs of the future, that actually for my kids, I don't think I wanted the same thing for them, as happy as I was with my schooling. I think that for them, what is needed in the future, given all the changes we're seeing in the world, is to take a broader view of learning, to realize that things are changing so fast in our society and now with AI. And the most important thing was that they have the flexibility and breadth to be able to pursue interests while also excelling at core academics, but mainly making their education future-proof. So that was the internal driver. And then in the industry, I saw marketplace-based models transforming other industries like Airbnb for vacation rental and Uber for car sharing. All right, this is crazy. Like I can press a button on my phone, I can get this really good value car share, but can I press a button on my phone and get like a great class for my child? No, but clearly that's a problem that can be solved, or an opportunity that can be provided. And I started digging more and more into it, and I realized there's an even bigger opportunity here than I first thought, because I started to look at some of the data and some of the research, and satisfaction in America or trust in your local school has gone down and has been on a downward trend since the 70s. And I don't necessarily think it's because school has gotten worse by the measures that we typically measure school by. It's because it's no longer as relevant, and people are realizing they want something different. And there's that trend which continues and is being exacerbated even in the past few years. And I realized that there needs to be like big change in how we organize schooling as a society, and that technology and marketplace models can really play a massive role in that.
Well, that is very, very interesting. I mean, you were certainly forward thinking about education, and there are advantages of online learning for homeschoolers. I mean, that seems really obvious to say, but I think of all the groups of parents, homeschoolers might have some reluctance, right, about having their child take an online course if they haven't done so before, because the whole idea behind homeschooling your kids is that you're in charge of their education. So, can you speak to that when you are talking with a prospective homeschooling family who might be interested in having their child take classes through Outschool? What will you say are the reasons to pursue it?
Yeah, the key reasons to pursue it are choice and personalization. So Outschool absolutely puts you in control, because you get to choose the teachers, you get to choose the classes alongside your learner. And by offering tremendous variety, so we have over 100,000 classes taught by over 7,000 teachers, you can decide what fits you. So, gone are the days where you have to essentially get it all at once. And if you don't like one subject, or you don't like one teacher, you can't really edit it in a traditional education system. Whereas in Outschool, you have unlimited choice. You can engage as much or as little as you want, and you get to decide which learning experience is most important for your family. And the flip side of it is, homeschooling of course it gives you that control. That's what many people see. But of course it's tough. And it's tough, and if you want to cover subject matter which maybe you're less confident in as a parent, or you don't have other resources locally, or if it's just that your learner responds better when it's not you, helping them, which is true in many cases. Then Outschool can be there for you, and so you can pick and choose which parts that you might like to get help with.
Well, I love that. I think all of those reasons are valid. And then I'm assuming we're going to dig deeper into Outschool because I honestly don't know as much about it as I would like to, but I'm assuming that it's also very flexible for your schedule. And that is a big
Yes.
plus for homeschoolers.
Yes, absolutely. So, because we have this large marketplace of teachers and classes, their class is starting all the time. And there's availability all the time, like in within the regular school day or after school, weekends, wherever you want to fill. And oftentimes platforms that have been built to either supplement education or even for homeschoolers don't have that flexibility because maybe they have only kind of a small set of core courses or relatively few teachers. And so you've got to kind of just go with the schedules that are available, or they're really not designed for homeschoolers and they're designed for people supplementing, in which case they're only available like in after school hours or in off school hours. But by providing this tremendous variety, we have literally classes starting like not even every hour, every 5 minutes. And so you can go to the site and if you want to try it out, go to the site, see a class that's starting soon, and just dive in. And then once you get a feel for it, then you can say, okay, now I want to use it for these specific subjects in my child's education.
Well, that's wonderful. What an amazing advantage that is. So, my question for you is, are these online classes that you're providing workable for students who have some learning challenges? Is this a good medium for them to learn?
Yeah, and the answer is absolutely. From the early days, we noticed that many families were using Outschool in just that way because of the flexibility and also because of the skill of some of our teachers and experience of some of our teachers working with neurodivergence. Absolutely, families were turning to Outschool when other solutions or traditional education was failing them, and I know that's also a big motivator for homeschooling in general. And so the ways in which families can use Outschool is, when they're dealing with neurodivergence, is firstly by identifying educators with that experience, and many of them declare in their teacher profile that they're using that. We have that available, and then you can get access to content and tutoring at different ages, but not just in terms of grade level. So if you have a kid who's gifted in one arena, you can get access to advanced material. Whereas maybe has challenges in another arena, you can get specialist help. And the great thing about the online format and classroom experience is it can also help draw out shy learners, because there's more freedom in an online interaction. You can kind of walk away from it for a minute, come back. The teachers make it very engaging, but you have that flexibility. We had one class in the early days of Outschool, which was a poetry class for non-verbal learners. And they found they engaged by commenting in the chats and sharing each other's work and commenting on it. And so because it's lower, it's kind of a lower commitment way of engaging or than having to go somewhere in person and feeling stuck. It can actually help draw out many different types of learners, and the teachers are sensitive to adjust for that.
Mm, I just love that. Okay, so you are telling me that you have so many classes available, but can you give me a sense of some of the types, some of the topics of the classes that you offer?
Yeah, well, there's so many with 100,000, but let me give you some examples. We have everything from like, things you might expect, like core math, algebra, things like that. Everything to enrichment and social emotional learning, things like learning cat anatomy from a vet. That's kind of like fun, but also scientific, or yoga classes for kids, or my son does piano classes. They actually work online, believe it or not. You put the laptop or tablet up next to the keyboard, and the teacher giving the instructions. Many more things can work online than you might first imagine. And it's incredible to see the creativity that teachers can offer if, as we do, you give them the freedom to really pursue their craft.
Mm. And so that leads me to my next question for you, which is what is the background of your teachers? Are there certain requirements that they have to have in order to be offering classes throughout school?
Absolutely, there are requirements because we want to make sure that the teachers who come on board are able to provide quality learning experiences. And so, clearly we do background checks on all of our teachers, and there's also an application process. And what we try and identify is teachers who have domain knowledge in the subjects that they wanted to teach and can provide a great learning experience for kids. So usually either have some experience working with kids or have the aptitude to create a really compelling learning experience. And we have many teachers on our platform who are experienced certified teachers, but we do not require certification in order to be a teacher on Outschool because there are many subjects, for example, cat anatomy taught by a vet or yoga for kids, where they're professionals or practitioners who have a lot of experience, a lot to give to kids, but aren't necessarily, haven't necessarily been practicing teaching as a profession. So it's a mix. And we have, some teachers who are teaching on the side. So maybe they have like their profession and they're teaching those classes on Outschool, or teaching in a regular classroom and then also teaching on Outschool. We have homeschooling parents who have created a curriculum for their own kids and are creating classes at Outschool. One I remember from the early days just created an incredible business teaching critical thinking skills through Dungeons and Dragons, which is amazingly popular. And then we have and everything in between. And some teachers have become so successful that they're now full-time online teachers, full-time online entrepreneurs as part of their homeschooling journey, as part of their professional journey.
Well, that is really interesting, and I know I talked with some of your colleagues at the conference about potentially teaching throughout school. I just have to decide when and if I'm going to have the bandwidth to do that with everything else that I am doing. But I absolutely love to teach, and I know many homeschooling parents who are listening to us right now do as well. They have an aptitude, they have experience teaching kids, whether it's just their own children or other children through a co-op. And I think they would be very interested in talking with you. So I'm going to ask you when we are done how they can get in touch with you to learn more about that as an opportunity. But for right now, I would love to talk with you about how much Outschool is. What is the model? Is it a monthly fee? Do you pay by the class? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so you pay class by class, but some classes are recurring. So if you have like math practice or a club or a debate club, for example, then you would sign up to a time slot and pay every week until you decide to cancel or pause. So we make that possible anytime. So regardless of whether you're buying a fixed length class or you're buying something that's recurring, you're in control and can decide week to week how you engage. So there's no kind of annual membership you have to pay or upfront cost. You can decide how much or how little you want to engage. So people usually start with, okay, I'm going to try out this club or I'm going to try out this course, and then quickly realize what works for their learner, and then add more.
Okay, and so if I have two children who want to take the same class, do I pay for both of them individually, or is it just one price?
So you pay both individually, because remember, these are live classes.
Hmm.
So taking place over the video chat. So, the teacher is trying to engage every single kid. And if there's any assignments set or anything like that, which not all classes have, but some do, then they're doing that work. So it matches the number of kids.
That's wonderful. And my last question I have for you before I ask you where we can go to sign up for the classes that we're most interested in is how do your kids like the classes? Do they enjoy taking Outschool classes?
They love it, which I'm very happy about because it would have sucked if I'd founded this company and then, then had kids, then 9 years later discovered that they didn't like it. But thankfully they did. Our classes start from age 3. So on both my kids' 3-year-old birthday, they took their first Outschool classes. And yeah, my son who's now 5, he takes like 9 classes a week. He does some math, he does some English. He did a deep dive on rocks last week, so we did like a rock camp. He takes piano classes, German. He has a social group. He has a growth mindset class. So he's really into it. We expect that journey to continue because we're going to take alternative paths for him for his schooling. And then, my daughter's only just started, but she's doing
Okay.
things like circle time, and some Spanish classes as well. Things that are age appropriate for those younger kiddos.
Well, that sounds really like a lot of fun. And so I'm happy for
Yeah.
you that they're enjoying them. Now, one thing I guess I did not clarify, are the classes at various price points then?
Yes, they are. And
Okay.
so if it's one-on-one tutoring, then you can expect a higher price point than a group
Hmm.
class. Because in the group class, the teacher's time can be split between families. For a group class, you can start from as little as $5 per class, but can be as high as 20 depending on the subject area. For tutoring, it's higher than that, given
Uh-huh.
the more intense nature of the classes and the teacher's time.
Well, I wish I had kids still that I can put in your classes. Maybe one day soon I'll have grandchildren who are doing that. I know time just flies, but this has been really, really educational for me to learn more about it, and I'm excited about it. I just know that if most homeschoolers are like me, and I think they are, they're going to be wanting to go to your website and check out all the options that you have available. So, the exact URL of your website where they should go.
Outschool.com. And
Perfect.
you can sign up there for free and start browsing our classes and decide how you want to engage.
That is wonderful. Now, is there like a start date for these, or do they start at various times during the year?
They start all the time during the
Okay.
year. Every day there's new classes starting.
Okay.
Now is actually a great time to go look because, of course, we're entering the traditional back to school season, and depending on how you do your homeschooling, maybe you want to plan your semester. And now's a good time to kind of start making some choices. So we provide some planning tools if that's how you want to go. But we also support many unschoolers or eclectic homeschoolers who want to be a little bit more flexible. So we have classes starting all the time that those folks can join.
All right. Well, my heart goes out to the homeschoolers trying to decide which classes to take. Oh, that's so hard. It's so hard because we want to learn all of it, don't we?
Everything. Totally.
But thank you so much for building this platform and making this resource available to homeschoolers and other families. And I just appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about it today.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. And, thank you to you and your community for really taking control of your kids' education and empowering them. And we're just delighted to be able to support your community.
I forgot to ask Amir about where prospective teachers should go if they're interested for the recording, but he told me afterward that you would go to outschool.com/teach. Please let me know if you enroll in a class or decide to offer one after hearing this episode. Find the links at homeschoolsanity.com/online learning. Have a happy homeschool week. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. I hope something you heard was encouraging. If you have a personal question to follow up, don't hesitate to message me. I'm at Homeschool Sanity on social media. Be sure to check my free resource page at homeschoolsanity.com/resource and find Sanity Saving Curriculum at funtolearnbooks.com. This has been a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.